Welcome to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and in this dynamic series, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and victories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion into success. Welcome. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis. And you know what? I got to tell you, I am super excited about our guest today. My guest today is someone who's shaped the modern conversation around leadership and humanity in business. Steve Farber, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm delighted, like I said, to have you here, and talk about leadership. It's one of my favorite topics to be around. And I know that you are the best-selling, so catch this, everybody. He is the best-selling author of four books, and you're writing the fifth, or three, and you're writing the fourth.
Five, and I'm writing a sixth.
Okay, well,
but,
hey, after it's kind of like a house. After you have three fireplaces, it's just extra fireplaces.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just extra fireplaces.
It's just another book.
Yeah, it's just another book, but I love it. But the best-selling author of The Radical Leap, which I have here, The Radical Leap, The Radical Edge, Greater Than Yourself, and a new book that can you show the book about the goodness, because that is what we're going to talk about today.
Love is just damn good business.
I love that.
As it's scrolling by on your screen, if you're watching.
If you're watching.
Actually, that came out in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then there's another book after that, which may or may not be on the official document that you have. Do you have Twisted Business on there?
The what one?
Twisted Business.
Oh, I know you did that with Twisted Sister, one of the bands.
Yeah, JJ French. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Lessons from Rock and Roll, right? And I see all the guitars. If you're not watching, you want to start watching and see all the guitars, because I know that you like music as well. So I love the name of all these books. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. We need to say that you are the founder and CEO of the Extreme Leadership Institute. Now, when we say extreme leadership, the first thing that comes to mind to me is actually the opposite of what you do, right? And how you lead. So tell us a little bit about extreme leadership, if someone were to see that, and what their thoughts might be and how they perceive it, and what you really mean by extreme leadership.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. So, I've been, just to give you a little context for that, I've been at this work, and by this work, I mean leadership development, culture development, et cetera, for 35 years.
Yeah.
And about halfway through that process, through that journey, which of course I'm still on, it became really clear to me that we used the word leader or leadership too loosely. Mm-hmm. We used it as a label or a title that we slap on ourselves or we slap on other people without giving a lot of thought to what the implications really were.
Yeah.
And leadership is not about your position. It's not about your title. It's about who you are and how you show up and how you work and how you live, and your ability to influence people around you to change things for the better, regardless of what your position or title is.
Yeah.
And the phrase extreme leadership came from my attempt to get people to understand that it's not about what you call yourself, it's about what you do. And leadership, by its nature, is an extreme act, because it's about the act of transformation in some way or another. It's taking nothing and turning it into something. It's taking something good, turning it into something extraordinary. It's stretching and growing our skills and our capabilities as people and doing that for the people around us. It's changing the world for the better. It's all those things. So real leadership is already extreme. So all that by way of saying extreme leadership is really just my way of saying real leadership. And to try to get people to look inside and feel inside that if I think I'm leading because it says leader on my business card, or I look at the org chart and see that I'm perched pretty high up and I'm calling myself a leader, but it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything that's scaring me a little bit or having significance, I'm not really leading. I'm just wearing the label. I'm posing, as it were. Yeah. So extreme leadership is real leadership in my estimation.
Yeah, I love that. And if you remember, I'm trying to remember what it was actually called, but way back there was a grid that did the 1-9, the 9-1, the 5-5, and I don't know if you remember that. It was about the country club leadership, right? The country club.
No, there's so
Oh
many
my gosh.
models. That one I missed.
Oh yeah, it was so cool because I always said I want to be a 9-9 where I care about people and I care about production. A 1-9
Yes.
only cares about production, and 9-1 only cares about people. A 5-5 is a country club who's like, well, I like you today and you tomorrow, and I'm going to make everybody happy, and they're
Right.
not leading at all.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. So
yeah.
the title of my book that came out in 2019, "Love is Just Damn Good Business," is really the essence of the if conclusion is the right word, the conclusion that I've drawn about what leadership is. Fundamentally, it's about cultivating love. It's about love for the enterprise. It's love for the people. It's love for the mission. It's love for the values that you stand for. It's love for the customers that you serve. It's love for the great future we can create together. And that sounds at first blush, it sounds like, California touchy feely hoo ha crap. It sounds like kumbaya stuff. And I'm a business guy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when I say love is just damn good business, it's because love is damn good business. So what is business? Well, business is about, in large part, creating a successful enterprise that's profitable and
Mhm.
and grows and is at the very least sustainable, but growing over time. How do you get there? You get there through having the right people in the right environment doing great things. So when people ask along the lines of the grid that you just talked about,
Yeah,
what's more important, love or the bottom line? The answer is yes.
both.
It's
You
it's
saw me
a well,
whisper both.
it's a flawed question.
It's not an either or. Yeah.
It's not. But the question implies that there's some forced choice that you have to make between those two,
Mm.
which entirely misses the point.
Yeah.
It's how you get to one through the other. So if
Yes.
all you're trying to do is to create an environment, that country club environment where everybody's happy all the time and
You're
people walk
loved.
around with big goofy grins on their faces, and you
Yeah.
stop the action, have a group hug in the hallway, and nobody ever argues. And that sounds frankly nauseating to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Organizations, and when I say organization, I mean everything from big organizations to small entrepreneurial enterprises, organizations that are really founded on a foundation of love tend to be more challenging because the standards are higher and accountability is greater because you have a love for the enterprise. So you're not going to tolerate subpar performance, behavior, productivity, and all that. So it
Yeah.
all goes together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also goes together. I always look at leadership, and I know you'll concur with me, but I want to get some thoughts on this too. Is that, there's leadership in a marriage, there's leadership in parenting, there's leadership in the partners that you decide to work with in your business, the vendors that you decide, I always say go first, be the leader, right? Go first. Because if it's all love with your kids, then what happens when they do something bad? If it's all love and warm and fuzzy with your partners, what happens when the partnership goes awry? There's not a foundation that has the proper friction
Yeah.
to have the right conversations to keep the relationship going.
Yeah. And I think some of that's semantics. I mean, I could say that it's all love, just there's such a thing as tough
Different
love,
ways, yes.
right?
Yeah.
There's tough love.
Yeah. Tough love.
So my kids, and by the way, I'm speaking from experience here. I raised teenagers
Mm-hmm.
for 25 straight years. So
Oh,
I know what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
Yes. Yeah. They just all rolled into that
Yeah,
teenage.
yeah. Between my wife and me, we have 6 kids. They're 3 and 5 years apart. I
Yeah.
raised for 25 years. And I will
Wow.
tell you that when they, let's say, acted in ways that were not acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't mean I stopped loving them in that moment. It
Correct.
meant because I loved them, I made sure that there was some kind of corrective
Yeah.
conversation, behavior, action, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think there's certainly differences between having a family and having a business.
Yeah. Of
But
course.
like I've never fired anybody in my family.
Right.
I've
Well,
had
there's
to fire
different
people in my business.
expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's it, I can love you and fire you.
Yeah.
I can love you and I could love the enterprise. And if the way that you're performing or not performing is damaging the business and the other people in it, then I've got to make a choice. And I have, if it's my business, for example, I have a fiduciary responsibility to the business. I have a responsibility to the customers. I have a responsibility to the other employees. So I can love you and say, this is not the right place for you.
Right. Right.
So it doesn't have to be, an on-off switch, but it's like a dimmer switch, right? I mean, the intensity of, or the,
Oh, I totally, yeah, I totally get that. And I think, when you bring, because this is business on the vine, right? This is everything about having a strong, sustainable business. When you bring new people on, that intensity may be higher for you, maybe lower if we use, situational leadership, right? We're going to be attached to them and be highly directive and less supportive, but later we're going to be more supportive. So whatever way you feel that dial works, in that arena, I think is really important. Steve, I think you should do a 7th book about loving your teenagers and creating leadership.
So that's an interesting idea.
I want to write one of the endorsements if you do come out with it.
Yeah. Okay. So you're gonna write the book cover blurb for that. So it does go back to what you just said a couple of minutes ago, that there's leadership in every arena. There is leadership in a family, leadership in a relationship, and all that. My particular playground has been leadership in business.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't apply in other places. It does. I mean, they're universal principles, but the application of it is a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, totally different. Well, I know you've inspired leaders around the world, right, to love back in business. And, but today, one of the things that I want to do is just kind of go a little deeper into, how you discovered this, because, in your book, which one is it? The Radical Leap, right? You talk about LEAP, the acronym of love, energy, audacity, right? The audacity to step into that role, and proof, right? Proof by the integrity of what you're doing and showing what you're doing. But my question for you is, was there a time when one of those elements in LEAP broke down for you personally, that had you create and rebuild this, this aha moment of, oh, I got it. We need to have that in business. Was there a time for you that happened?
So there was in one respect, which I'll tell you about in a second, and then also not, in that it's something that developed over time and kind of built momentum over time. But there was a moment. And it was only in reflection, looking back later on, that I really saw it in the context of love. I started out as an entrepreneur, and I did everything pretty early, pretty young in life. So I got married young. I had a business really young. And before I was 30 years old, I had my own, I was in the financial services industry, which is a polite way of saying I was in the commodities futures business.
Right. Right. I'm in financials, or was in financials too. I get it. Yeah.
So I had my own small brokerage firm in the futures business. Now, from the outside looking in, how cool was that? Right. 28 years old.
Looks beautiful.
Looks great. My own boss. I had, employees that I was responsible for. I learned about marketing. I did stuff on what at the time was called Financial News Network, and, did and learned about sales and learned about communicating and all that. So it all looked great. There was one problem. I freaking hated it.
Yeah.
I
happy on the outside, miserable on the inside. Yeah.
Well, I hated that business. And the reason I hated it was because it's very speculative. Which, again, is polite. It's a polite way of saying people lose money. And I had a moral dilemma with my own business. And it was killing me. I mean, I think literally it was killing me. If I had stayed in that business, I don't know how long I would have lasted on this planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had a very visceral experience of what it's like to work in an enterprise where not only was there no love, but there was the opposite of that for it. Now, I loved the people that I worked with, and I loved elements about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when I made the decision to get out, and I had a business background from that, I also had a natural communication ability. I'm a musician. I did a lot of performing. I still do. And I loved working with people and being in front of people and all that. So I put all that together and I started pursuing an entirely different career. This was back in 1988,
Mm-hmm.
where I got involved in kind of training and development in business sorts of scenarios. And over time, I had some really incredible mentors and did some great work with a lot of companies. And it gave me the opportunity to have exposure to, over time, just about every kind of company you can imagine in just about every kind of industry in some way or another. So I had a lot of really broad-based experience. And what became clearer and clearer over time was that the really great leaders that I'd met, and I'm not talking about, historical leaders. I'm talking about leaders that had a huge impact within their organizations.
Mm-hmm.
What characterized them above and beyond anything else was the people that worked for them, with them, and around them, loved them, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I knew that from the experience of watching these people work and having lots of conversations with them over a lot of years in a lot of different contexts. So it became really clear that that love thing was the differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
And when I joined a company called the Tom Peters Company in 1994, now Tom Peters is one of the greatest management thinkers of our day. And a lot of your listeners, if they're, I'm going to say, under 60 years old, they probably never heard of him. But there was a book called In Search of Excellence that he wrote in the 80s, which changed the landscape of American business and international business. So I was vice president of his company in the 90s. And the guy that hired me there was a guy named Jim Kouzes. Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner, fast forward to today, have been conducting the most significant body of research on leadership on the planet now for 40 years. So Jim was my primary mentor. If you look at their research, they found 5 practices that emerge among the most successful leaders. And one of those practices they called encouraging the heart, which was about recognition and celebration.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And almost parenthetically, they said, and by the way, it's really about love.
Yeah.
Like almost whispering it.
Yeah.
So when I took a look at that, I said, wait, why are we whispering that? It's the main thing. So really all I did was shine a spotlight on it, because it became really clear that this was a common theme across the board,
Mm-hmm.
all over the planet,
Mm-hmm.
across industry. So when I look back at my own experience and reflect on those days where I hated what I did, I had that personal kind of contrast to be able to put the two up side by side. But more important was just, my conclusion that I drew just from working with all these people over now decades.
Yeah.
So it's
and I think, and I mean, it's so profound. It really is. And you and I get it. And I hope that anyone who's listening is getting this too, because the adage of the way that it used to be, even, I got into business in 1978. I've been in financial services and business and leadership and executive management and ownership for all that time too. And it was always because I said so. Right? Remember, it started off that way. Management and leadership was because I said so.
mm-hmm.
We have gone a full 180, and there are some business owners that don't really have that yet, and especially business owners that have moved to a second career and now they're an entrepreneur. They look back on the way I should act as a manager, as a leader, as an owner, is the way that I saw them act.
Yes.
Yes. And now we also have, I'm going to disrupt a little bit. I don't want to go political, but I'm going to talk about DEI, right? Inclusion, making sure that everyone feels culturally around here. There may be some resistance from people hearing this and saying, oh, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't want to do inclusion. Maybe I don't want to do, those pieces. And I'm hearing him talk about love. What do they need to know to be sustainable and successful moving forward?
Yeah. So in my family, the joke was, why? Because I'm the dad.
Right. It's the
Right?
same thing.
Yeah, the same thing. So because I'm the boss.
Uh-huh.
Um, well, all you've got to do is just look at two things. First of all, look at your own experience
Mm-hmm.
of not being the boss.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Feel
have you ever had a bad manager?
sure, but do you feel
Mm-hmm.
more creative, more productive, more engaged when you're constantly being second guessed and told what to do, or when you're given the knowledge, the tools, and the support to get better at your job and have more influence in the way that you work? I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Uh, we like to be a part of things. That doesn't mean that there aren't times where I need to be told what to do. It gets back to the situational leadership you talked about before. If I'm
Yeah.
learning something, sometimes it's tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But because that's what's necessary at that point in the
Their development. Yeah.
now
And
flip that around.
yeah.
If I'm the dad, I'm the mom, I'm the boss at the company. To feel to believe that I need to be the commander of everything that happens is delusional, because
Yeah.
what that would require is that I'm the smartest, I'm the most capable, and in fact, in some cases, I need to be omniscient and all knowing.
Right. Right.
Versus, let me get the best people I can.
Mhm.
Let me give them the resources and knowledge that they need, and let me bring them in on this enterprise together.
Yeah.
Uh, and nothing is everything is think of it in terms of shades of gray, not black and white. This is not a binary choice that we make.
Yeah.
Either control or inclusion or anything that we're looking at. It requires a blend of all of that. But
Yeah.
what is common through it, if we're doing it right, is it comes back to love. If I love you, I want to see you succeed. If I love the business, I want to see it succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talked about earlier, those two things go together. The
Yeah.
more I can help make the people on my team successful, the more we're going to be successful together. We all know this.
That's exactly what team building is and leadership is that we're all rising together. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for going further into that. I really love that. I want to change gears just a little bit. Still staying in Leap, right? The radical leap. But chapter 1 you had, it's called Tuesday, right? And I noticed that in your books, as I was reading the 2 that I have, apparently I need to get more your books. That you often feature or talk about these serendipitous moments where you stumble across somebody, right? The right person, the right conversation at the right time. And I'm wondering what you can share with us about how leaders can create those conditions rather than stumbling upon them or having luck, right? Waiting for luck. I was lucky to have met them. But in addition to that, so the comparison there,
Mhm.
but in addition to that piece of it is increasing our awareness to see that it's an opportunity.
Yeah. So first of all, by way of context, my first 3 books, The Radical Leap, The Radical Edge, Greater Than Yourself, are all written as novels. So
Mm-hmm.
they're
Right.
business parables, right?
Parables. Yeah.
So there's a story, there are characters, there's dialogue. And the way that I write these, and there's been lots of books in that genre, Pat Lencioni and Ken Blanchard and
Yeah. Oh yeah. The
on.
Noticer, all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way that I like to write is in first person. So I narrate my own story, which makes me a character in the story. And of course the story and the characters in it are a delivery system for the message, for the lessons that I'm trying to convey. So this idea of finding the right people at the right time and having conversations,
Right.
that's the way the stories play out, but it's also the way my life plays out. So to your question, I think maybe there is such a thing as luck, right? It is possible for lightning to strike.
Yeah.
I just wonder how much luck so-called luck, we overlook because we're not paying attention.
Bingo. Bingo. Yeah.
So if I'm naturally curious, and if I'm challenging myself to be awake and to be aware as to what's going on around me, I'm just going to find more opportunities. So what that requires is I need to be clear on what it is that I'm looking for to some degree. And at the same time, be open to discovering things that I don't even know I'm looking for until I see them, or I get some inkling of them, or some clue that they're there. In either case, it requires my paying attention. So there are two, and this is, I don't address this very, I'm going to say directly in my books, but I think there are two places to pay attention. One is internal, one is external. So that paying that internal attention, what's going on inside, understanding or having the experience of being quiet inside, whether it's through meditation or prayer or reflection or whatever we do, it's literally closing the eyes and looking in. Then there's the opening the eyes and looking out.
Yeah.
And it was once referred to as outside. We talk about insight. There's insight and there's outsight. Insight is in terms of, new idea. Insight in terms of, I haven't thought of that before, or I've got a new perspective on something. Insight often happens as a result of outsight. So if I'm looking out and seeing what's out there and what people are doing, what people are saying, what's happening in the world around me, that is going to create insight into that. It will create new ideas, but it will also open me up to new possibilities. So if I have a conversation with somebody, I could hear an opportunity maybe for doing business together, or I don't know, getting on a podcast, or it could be any number of things that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't had that conversation. If you and I, if we hadn't had our conversations when we met, we wouldn't be here talking today. And the people listening wouldn't have the benefit of this conversation.
That's correct.
And so it all feeds into each other. So what I recommend to people, I talk about this in the book, The Radical Edge.
Yes, you do. On the wake up pad, right?
Yes. Yeah. You did your homework. Thank you.
I did. And that's why I was just looking away, because I was like, is this in this one or the other one? Because I was going to ask you that, is, that idea of paying attention to the subtle, the signals, and maybe there's some questions we should be asking ourselves to determine whether or not we're really living this true love and life in our business.
Yeah. So the wake up pad, or the WUP, as I like to call it, it's a really simple practice. It's taking, it could be a pad of paper, could be like, a steno pad like this, or it could be your tablet or your phone. And you just use it as a way to capture your observations.
Yeah.
And you do that for a while, you're going to have like pages of notes. And then every so often you just read through your notes and you start to ponder, well, I wonder if there's any significance
Right.
in this magazine article that I read, or this advertisement that I saw, or this person and what they were wearing when we were standing in line at Starbucks, and so we just ponder it. What might this mean? And then what'll happen is eventually a new idea is going to pop out, and then you try it. You take some action. You do a little experiment. It's a practice. So it's just a methodology for journaling, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And this idea of paying attention to these, and for me, they're subtle signals, right? Because it's just they're fleeting moments all day long. And if we just don't stop long enough to catch them, there's so many, like you said, the opportunities kind of go away. And it's awareness before acceleration, because what I see people doing is running around like chickens with their head cut off, trying to grab every opportunity without slowing down to speed up instead of speeding up to slow down. So,
Yeah.
I think that what you're talking about here is just taking some moments to really, you've got a lot of, listen up, people, right? You have so much credibility, you have so much influence, you have so much experience, and it will fly away from you if you don't take time to hone it in. I don't even say hone it in. You already have it honed in, and perhaps you did in your previous job. If you're still an executive at a company, you're still working on it, maybe, or maybe you have it, but celebrate that knowledge and how you can manifest that into something else that as you grow, it's growing too.
Yeah.
And no one takes the time to do that. It's just run amok.
Here's a real simple practice. It's kind of fun. I talk about this in the Radical Leap. I call it reading the signs.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that quite literally. So
Mm-hmm.
read the signs that you see around you.
Mm-hmm.
For example, unattended vehicles will be towed. Interesting.
Right.
So you read the sign and then you ask the question, what if that sign has a message for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like turning everything into a metaphor, right? So what might unattended vehicles be? Well, am I attending to myself? What if I don't attend to myself? Am I going to get towed? Does it mean, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just that it doesn't mean that there's an actual meaning in that sign for you in that moment, and that's why that sign was created. But it's another entryway into that insight through outsight.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. It could be your health, right? I know we're talking about business here, but it can be your health too. Is it unattended? My health could lead to be towing away, right? Right. Something being towed away. And not attending to my husband, right? If I'm not paying attention to him because I'm just too busy doing other things. When was the last time you looked your spouse in the eyes? In the eyes, right? We have a little rule that when we are within 3 feet of one another, we look into each other's eyes and say what we're grateful in that moment and kiss. And everybody around us knows this. So they're seeing us kiss all the time, right?
That's great. That's
Because we
lovely.
just have this rule of
Yeah.
making sure that we're paying attention and that we're saying, hey, I'm grateful that you did the dishes. I'm grateful you cooked. I'm grateful that you cuddled me last night, whatever it is, right? We're just grateful for something to, constantly be reminded about that. And I think that has done very well in my business, because when I'm on the phone, on a Zoom call with my team and I'm looking them in the eye, it reminds me of what I'm supposed to be doing with my husband. And I'm saying, hey, Vicky, I'm so grateful that you're part of our team. I'm so grateful you're part of this. And it's just a reminder for it. I think it's super powerful. I
It's a
love
great
it.
example. It's a great
Yeah.
example of how the same principle will have different application at home and at work.
Across
So you're
business.
not gonna, go to your colleague, look them in the eye and give them
I
a
love
kiss
you and kiss
and
you.
say, but you can do exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Hey, let me just stop for a moment and tell you how grateful I am for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
how about writing a note, writing a personal thank you note just because you were so great at that meeting the other day. And I just wanted to take a minute to
Yeah.
write this down and tell you how much I appreciate you. Same thing, same
Yeah.
principle, different
Oh,
applications.
I love that. You and I will talk offline, but well, no, maybe we won't. I'll just say it right now. So here's a strategy for everybody listening. We used to do this all the time. Once a week, everybody on the team had to write a note to someone else on the team.
Great.
Every
Great.
week,
Yeah.
every single week. And what you're doing is you're showing them how to love. I didn't think of it at that back then. I didn't think of it showing how to love. It was all about let's show gratitude and appreciation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So there's two things I want to say. First of all, I was really influenced in this by an executive that I met. This would have been, oh my gosh, when was this? The mid 90s. He's retired now. His name is Carl English. And he was a senior executive at Consumers Energy in Michigan. He was one of the top three guys at that utility company. And what Carl would did, this is the short version of the story. What Carl would do, did I say what Carl Wood did?
It's okay.
Yeah. I kind of
You
like
were
the
saying
sound.
what Carl did was.
What Carl Wood did sounds like my 3-year-old granddaughter. What Carl would do is he would arrive at work early in the morning before anybody else was in the office, and he would write thank you notes to people in the company.
Yeah.
And then he would give those notes. And over time, notes from Carl English were like these little treasures. And a lot of people had them, including me, by the way. After I ran a seminar there, he wrote a note to my son to tell me how grateful he was for him for letting me travel so I could do the work that I was doing for them. I still have that note. I wrote about it. In this. It's in this book. How many decades later? So anyway, that is a practice, and this is the point. What you just said was, oh, I'm showing people what love looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the challenge in all of this. This is not about love as a sentiment. It's about love as a practice and a discipline. Mm-hmm. So the question that we all need to ask, and that I would ask your listeners to ask of themselves, is this: what should love look like in the way that I do business?
Yes.
We have to translate it all the way to that level. Otherwise, it is just kind of a sentiment. I mean, if you're on my team, and I really love that you're on my team, and I love you for the work that you do, and I'm truly grateful every day when you show up for work and do great work. That doesn't do you any good.
No.
Unless you see evidence.
Unless you tell them, unless you show them. Yeah. Yeah. It's not assumptive, right? It's just not assumptive.
And to take it one more step, or at a different scale, you've seen lots of companies, I'm sure, that print little buttons and banners that say, "We love our customers."
Mm-hmm. We love referrals. We love.
We love our customers. Our customers are the center of our universe. Oh, okay. The words are easy to say. So that's one thing. Saying the words is important. But what does it look like? Yes. Show me.
Yeah.
So do you have policies, procedures, environment, products, services that show me that you love me as your customer?
I know. So I'm going to give you a quick example because this just happened. So last Friday, Brian and I went on what's called the Virginia Scenic Railway. It's during the fall, and it's a steam train, and it only goes once a year. And everybody on the road was taking pictures. All these professional photographers were chasing the steam train. It was all this stuff. But we get there, and my last name, Du Plessis, has a space. And often people think my last name is Du, or my middle name is Du, or my last name is Plessis.
Right.
So we stand for a really long time in the A through F line, right? We get to the front. They're like, we don't see it. I go, well, here's my ticket. I don't see it. I don't have your ticket to give you the wristband. And I said, I'll bet you have me under P for Plessis. So she yells over to the guy and she goes, do you have P for Plessis in there? And he goes, yeah, that sounds good. She doesn't walk over and get me the ticket and bring it to me. She tells me to get back in line under the whatever to P's, whatever. And my husband and I we're like, okay, so that's taking one thing out of the trust right there. Boom. You just withdrew from the trust. You should have gone over and handed it to me and say, here you go. Instead of making me get back in line.
Yes.
For me, that's a very small thing, but I'm an engineer. Okay. So I'm all about process and systems, right? And that was one of the first things I thought is, that's a lesson to learn. And see, this is an example of awareness, right? That's a lesson. Here I am telling it on this podcast today because it had an
Yes.
effect on me, not a good one, but a lesson to be learned.
Also a great example of when when I when I say you need to ask the question, what should love look like in the way that we do business? I mean every aspect of your business. So process is part of the way
Yeah.
that you show love or you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then how the person uses that process or not is another example of that. And then the conversations that people have with their customers is another example of it. It happens on every level.
Yeah.
So
18 different systems in a business and probably more, but I know of 18.
so to take every one of those systems and ask the question, does this show the user of that system or the beneficiary of that system
Yeah.
that we love them or not?
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Okay.
Can I give you an example? Can I give you an
Yes,
example?
please. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's a company that I talk about a lot, and for good reason. It's a company called Trailer Bridge. They're in Jacksonville, Florida, a shipping logistics company, and they're all about this. This is what they do. Their CEO is a guy named Mitch Luciano, and he's a love guy. He's a big fan of the Radical Leap from way back, and he just
Right.
it's just a big part of what he does. So, for example, one of the things that they had, and that the high level story in this company is they were terrible and now they're great. That's the simplest way to put it, right? And one of the things that made them great is they put everything through this love kind of filter. So they had a longstanding policy. So their business is they ship barges of containers of stuff, primarily from mainland U.S. to Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and other places, right? So they had a longstanding policy at the company system. They would not ship a barge until it was at least 75% full. Because if it was less than 75% full, they would lose money on that shipment.
Right. To cost, effectiveness.
And they're obviously not in business to lose money.
Right.
So
right.
Why would we ship? Well, look at it from the customer's perspective.
I hope this is going where I think it's going.
So I'm a customer. I'm shipping a car, let's say.
Yeah.
From the mainland to Puerto Rico, to my family in Puerto Rico. I booked the shipment. You tell me that it's going to arrive on such and such a date. I tell my family it's going to arrive on such and such a date.
They're all excited.
That date comes and goes. No car. I call you at Trailer Bridge. Where's the car? And you tell me that it's still sitting in the harbor in Florida.
And you didn't bother to tell me.
You didn't bother to tell me, but now you're telling me. And I ask you, well, why is it still in the harbor? She says, well, we haven't filled it up enough space yet.
Not my problem.
Okay. So they took that policy and they said, if we loved our customers in that same scenario, what would we do? We would sail. That's when we said we would sail. And that's what they started doing, among hundreds of other things. And they went from literally bankruptcy to being number one, number two, number three, best place to work in Jacksonville for years running, most profitable.
And the clients are happy, right? The clients
That's why, because the clients are happy.
More people, and that's why their revenue went up. Yeah. I love that. It's so true. It is so true. Okay, so last question I want to ask you is, if you were guiding, an entire team or an organization right now in Radical Leap, right? Or in Love is Just So Damn Good, right? It's just so good. For 2026, knowing the environment that we're in, whatever you discern is that, right? Some people think it's great, some people don't. It's just we're in an environment, in the economy that we're in AI, all of the pieces that you might be thinking of here. And this is your chance to tell them, hey, it's time to make a shift. What would be some of the shifts that you would be saying? It could be one or it could be two. But what would be a shift that you would say, hey, look, right now it's the beginning. this is the time to take action?
Yeah, well, that's a enormous
I know
question.
it's a huge question,
Yeah,
but because every company is different, I certainly
sure.
get that. But
So I'm going to keep it on a level of
high
principle.
level,
I'll keep
yeah.
it on a level of, high level principle. First of all, um, I believe that as business people, we have an opportunity to demonstrate to the rest of the world what's possible,
Mm-hmm.
bringing human beings together. So, in a time where I think we can all agree, regardless of what your political persuasion is or your opinion as to what's happening in the US and all around the world right now, I think we can all agree that things at least feel more divisive than they've ever been, more polarized, more divisive. And, people just angry at each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, in a business, when you take the political environment out of it, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your background is. We're organized together around a common purpose in the scope of that business, and we can do great things together because we're in a more a micro environment versus a macro environment. We have more influence and control over that environment. Why
Mm-hmm.
don't we use that as an example to show other people what's possible?
Yeah.
This is what you could do when you unify people around a common mission, a central core of love for each other and for what we're trying to accomplish together, and prove, which is the P in leap,
Mm-hmm.
prove that we're doing something significant through the results that we get. Prove it through our success as a business. So in these times, I think we have a tendency to say now more than ever. Now more
I
than
know
ever.
people do say that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we say it more than ever now.
Yeah,
Um,
each generation says that.
yeah, that's right. And so let's just take it at face value. Now more than ever,
Yeah.
this practice of asking the question, what should love look like in the way that we do business, as we've been discussing here, is it's something that we need to do, not just for the benefit of our own business, but for the benefit of the example that we could set for all the people around us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe we could change the world one enterprise, one person at a time. And I know that sounds like a cliche,
No, but it's
but it's
that pay it
not.
forward, right? It's that pay it forward. You've seen those commercials where someone opens the door for someone and then someone goes, well, maybe I should do that too. And maybe I should do that too, right? It's just this constant, this kindness, that happens. It reminds me of the blue ocean strategy, right? We can be in the red ocean with all the sharks and all the pain and listen to what everybody has to say on the news and what someone, looked me crooked in the eye or whatever it is. Or we can be over in the blue ocean strategy and say, I'm going to create my own destiny. I'm going to create my own business regardless of what's happening here, and my team is just going to be above and above them. And it's interesting because my business program is called Elite Business Success, right? And it's elevating yourself above all of the muck, right? And creating what you believe is to be, makes you elite.
Yes.
Whether it's integrity, whether it's love, right, all of the pieces, the character you represent. And I think that is so powerful, and I've just so much enjoyed this. I really do. I was thinking as you were answering that, that it must be amazing for you to speak all day about love and how just that manifests a change in you
Yeah, it's a
all
really
the
good
time,
point.
Steve, right? Because you're talking about it so much. You must just be floating around on a cloud, a cloud of
Well, yeah, yeah, not exactly. I mean, because I have my moods and my moments and my challenges
we
like
all
anybody
do,
else.
yeah.
But here's what I do notice. Um, Now I'm not going to say this is true for everybody in our industry, your industry, my industry,
Yeah.
people that coach and train and write and help other consult and all that. I'm not going to say this, what I'm about to say is true for all of us. So I'll speak for myself. It's really important to me that I model to the best of my ability what it is that I'm asking other people to do.
Absolutely.
There are people in this industry that just don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
They're going to say what they need to say because
It sounds good.
sounds good. and I'm going to get paid to say it, whatever.
There's your proof right there.
So I need to the best of my ability, and I need to get better at it, to be the walking, talking, living, breathing example of what I'm asking other people to do.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm always reminding myself on how important love is and challenging myself to live into that more and more every day. And that has an impact on me personally.
Yeah.
And I'm just so inspired when I see people do it to a higher level than I do, more creatively than I do. It's fantastic because that's how I learn. I learned so much from my own clients.
Right. But they learn so much from you. That's why they're doing it, you know?
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's certainly both and.
Right.
And the reason they can learn so much from me is because of what I've learned from all my clients.
Right, right. It's a vicious, happy circle.
It's a virtuous cycle, I think.
A virtuous cycle. It definitely is. Yeah, I love it. Okay. Well, one last question I always ask everybody. This is the only thing that I always have prepared, right? Is what would you like? What's on your heart right now that you would like to leave for a business owner that's listening and saying, hey, I want a sustainable, successful business. You've talked about love. You've talked about, love in business. I mean, I understand all that, but is there some other quote or mantra that you would like to share that you haven't done so far?
Yeah. So this is a lot. There are two things. It's a one answer question, but I've got two answers.
Okay.
The first answer is do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. So this is not simply about doing what you love. It's about doing what you love to serve people, and to serve people in such a significant way that they reciprocate. They love you back. I mean, it's really as simple as that. But the thing that's really top of mind for me right now, and in large part, honestly, because this is the focus of this new book that I'm working on, is this. This is the advice that I would give people. And it has to do with the word accountability. We typically use the word accountability in reference to other people, as in, these people need to be more accountable. In other words, accountability is that thing that accountability is that thing that we desperately want other people to take. Can I hold ourselves accountable to our own words? So take that accountability demand and apply it internally. Am I living up? We're just talking about. Am I living up to the very things that I'm asking of or demanding of other people?
Yeah.
Can I be the person that consistently does what I say I'm going to do?
Yeah.
On the surface level, following through on promises and commitments. On a deeper level, modeling the values that I claim to stand for.
Yeah.
And if you do that consistently in your business, outside of your business, you have more credibility. And the more credibility you have, the greater foundation you have to influence other people to do great things.
Yeah. Oh gosh. If you're listening to this, you need to rewind that and listen to it, because I'll tell you what, Steve, I could do another complete podcast with you about accountability. It's our family word. It's our family word. Where my kids will call and go, I go, hey, what's up? And they go, accountability, mom. And I go, what happened? What happened? Right? Because this is the word that we've used, and it's so deep. There's a friend of both of ours, Greg Reed, right? He always does this famous thing of writing down, what's the perfect man or the perfect woman for you? And they have to be this, they have to be that, and they have to be this. And he said, are you those things?
Yes.
Right? Are you those things? So if you think about the perfect business, the perfect leader, what does that look like for you? And then write it all down and just ponder it and go fast, right? What's a perfect leader for you? They don't yell at you in a meeting in front of other people, right? There are all the things that come out.
Absolutely.
And then ask yourself, are you doing that too? And it's modeling them, right? It's definitely modeling them. I love that so much. What I love about what Steve's work is that, it's not about the hierarchy. It's about the humanity in business.
Right.
right? Not about that title. So if you haven't read any of the books that we've been talking about, the radical, and by the way, we'll put links to all of the books in the show notes, and we'll put links to a little giveaway that Steve has as well. Put all those links in there. He's got a little assessment or checklist for you that you can look at. If you haven't done that, please go grab them and reflect on, what we've been talking about here today, and leading from, love versus simply logic, because that's the dichotomy here, right? That's there. And I always give everyone some homework assignments, so I'm gonna, just some thought things to think about. So I've been taking little notes here. Is ask yourself today, maybe pull over if you're listening driving, or reflect on this tonight or tomorrow when you wake up, is what should love look like in the way we do business? This is, I had to write it the exact way you say it. What should love look like in the way you do that we do our business? And does this show the user or the beneficiary of the system? Because that's where you're going to place all this love in, right? You're going to pop all these little love things in there. The beneficiary of the system, does it actually show love, or is it just a convenient way for me to boast what I do, right? Because there's effectiveness and there's efficiency in systems. Is this efficient? I can just do it my way. Or is it really effective? Is it effective for them? So I encourage you to answer those two questions. And the final question is reminding you, and I may have this wrong because I tried to type it fast, Steve, so you have to let me know. Do what you love in the service of serving people who love what you do.
Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do.
Who love what you do. There you go. In the service of people who love what you do. And to have some thought-provoking time around that is, are you doing this? It's funny. My husband used to say all the time, we were in sales forever, right? And he'd say, I hate people. And I go, but you're in sales. How can you hate people, right? But is there a deep enough love in what you're doing for them that keeps you going? And, your example of financial, services is that you were saying, it wasn't for me there. So I found a different place for it. So, Steve, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. I really, really appreciate all of your wisdom and all of your time. And I'm so excited to read the next books. And please let me know personally when that next one comes out, because I want to make sure that I get it. I'm definitely getting one of the books for my son for Christmas. Hey, we're heading to Christmas as we're recording this one. So I've got Christmas mode as a mom and a grandma. And there's definitely one of the books I'm going to get for my son as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for such a great conversation and for such thoughtful questions.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And everyone, again, thank you so much for joining us. I know you have busy schedules, but we are trying to help you learn through the grapevine, right? Not to make those mistakes so that your business can be sustainable and successful. Hop on over to YouTube. Be sure to follow and subscribe our YouTube channel, where you'll find all of the podcasts over there, as well as this one and all the wonderful guests that we have. And until next time, we will see you on Business on the Vine. Thank you for joining us on Business on the Vine. If you found value in today's conversation and would like additional support, go to supportfromjen.com. Remember, the best ideas are always discovered on the vine. So keep innovating, stay inspired, and continue to grow.